President Trump has really been unloading on the press, and this is even by Trumpian standards. I mean, this is a guy who spent the campaign talking about the losers and idiots and morons in the Fourth Estate, and it worked very well for him. But after this very tough week, all of the controversy and furor surrounding the firing of Jim Comey at the FBI, he has ratcheted up to about an 11. Interview with Time magazine in which the president said, for example, CNN's Chris Cuomo is a chain lunatic and Don Lemon is the dumbest guy on TV. I'm getting the impression he does not like CNN very much. But then in a more serious vein, first on Twitter and then in an interview with Fox's Judge Jeanine Pirro, the president raising the possibility that maybe he'll just end the White House briefings. We could just put a piece of paper out, he said, and people can check it for accuracy. Let me say a few things about that. I know the briefings may seem to a lot of people who watch them out there, and a fair number of people watch them, given Sean Spicer's ratings, to be, you know, something where the press is catered to, and there are a lot of gotcha moments. Everybody plays for the cameras. Everybody wants their soundbite replayed on their program. That's a given ever since these things started being televised 20 years ago. But there's a reason that the briefings have been held for years and years and years, for many decades, and that is, first of all, it gives the administration a chance to communicate its message, unfiltered, except for having to deal with annoying reporters, to the American public. And also, it's the one shot that the press gets on behalf of the public to ask questions of a top administration official, whether it's Sean Spicer, Sarah Huckabee Sanders, or whoever is standing behind that podium. It doesn't mean the questions are not unfair or repetitive or framed in a way, but, you know, that's why, that's what they pay the press secretary to do, to be able to do that kind of combat and to be able to knock down and push back and deny, or any way that he or she wants to handle it, queries from the media that they might think are unfair. Now, I don't think the White House is serious about getting rid of the briefings. I think there would be an absolute firestorm. Now, again, not because anybody loves reporters, because it's a measure of accountability. You don't get many opportunities to question the president. You don't get many opportunities to question the cabinet or the vice president or the White House chief of staff. And so the press secretary is the designated person to come out and take those questions, and I think it can be good for both sides. Now, part of the reason that President Trump is so upset is that there's been a lot of criticism of the briefers. Spicer got it on Friday, Sarah Huckabee Sanders got it on Wednesday and Thursday, because of the shifting explanations about the Comey firing. With the Lester Holt interview on NBC, President Trump said, it was my decision. I was going to do it anyway. I was not dependent on a recommendation from the Deputy Attorney General, after his own people, not just them, but other administration officials, set out to tell journalists that this was basically the president accepting a recommendation from Rod Rosenstein, the Deputy Attorney General, been on the job for 2 weeks. And he even mentioned Russia in his answer. And so the idea that this was all about Comey's mishandling of the Hillary Clinton email probe was partially diluted, I would say, by the way in which Russia was brought into it. Even if this Russia investigation turns out to be nothing, Comey was the head of the bureau that was investigating. So I understand that feelings are raw right now. I think there is excess on both sides, by which I mean the president really ratcheting up his rhetoric against journalists and networks he doesn't like, CNN, MSNBC. Stephen Colbert, fine, give it back to him after that filthy, crude sex joke. But at the same time, if the White House has trouble in such a high-profile situation in getting out one unified message, that's a problem. That's a self-inflicted wound. That's a problem that these administration officials, by not looping in the communication staff early on, created for themselves. And you can't blame reporters for asking questions about that sort of thing, or asking questions about whether there's a taping system in the White House when the president tweets, I hope that Jim Comey should hope that there was no taping of our dinner. That a reference to a New York Times story, sources close to Comey, saying that the president asked for his loyalty at a White House dinner a week into the administration, White House knocking that down. A lot of moving parts here to focus on for journalists, for people out there. But the one thing I will close with is the briefings do serve a purpose, as annoying, frustrating, repetitive as they can be. And I hope the president isn't serious about getting rid of them.